Good morning, everyone. It's your girl Danielle Spencer. And today I'm going to switch a little bit and talk or give my take on this government shutdown thing. Um, I'm not going to talk about who I think is to blame, if it should continue, what side. I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of an African American woman who is aware of her history and who has been in a situation where I was forced to work and not get paid. So that's what I'm going to talk about. All of those thousands of government employees who are currently being forced to work and not get paid. In my opinion, I've never liked it. I don't think it's fair. It to me is reminiscent of slavery, um, where people are forced to work and they're not compensated. And again, in my opinion, I believe this is something that should be considered illegal and a practice that should end immediately. Um, Now, when I worked at the Veterans Hospital, they kind of told us if there was funding lapses, that we kind of had to work, even if we weren't going to get paid. I didn't like it then, and that was back in the late 90s. And I felt that something should be done to address it then, because why are why would anybody, especially since slavery is considered illegal in the country now, why would anyone be forced to work and not get paid? Um, I also, when I worked for a private industry, this company, they were having funding issues. And instead of laying people off or closing, they had us working without getting paid. And long and short of it, basically, I had to kind of sue to kind of get out of that situation because what I learned is that if you quit, you can't collect unemployment. Even though you're not getting paid, your only options were uh, to just stay there working until you could find another job, not getting paid, or to quit, and then you weren't eligible for unemployment because you had quit your job. So, because I've had those experiences in the past, I have a completely different view about this whole situation. And in my mind, like two possible solutions that could be implemented that, we the people would need to demand is that either if a agreement that can't be negotiated for funding, then automatically, okay, funding at the current levels to the current different agencies just continues until an agreement could be come up. Like that's one option. The other option is if there is a funding lapse, no one works, not where we pick and choose, where people, to me, especially people who work at the veterans hospitals, people who work at the airports who check the security, or at the FAA who those air traffic, no one works. So either everyone works and gets paid, or if want to keep doing this type of thing, then no one works. And we'll see get the true impact of um, what funding lapses mean. But again, my opinion, we can't keep going through this where there are problems in funding, but people are expected to work and not get paid. Um, that should not, in my opinion, should not be allowed, and that no one um, should think that that's okay. Because how would you like it for your employer not to pay you, but still expect you to get paid? Not thinking about you have to buy food, you have to pay either rent or a mortgage. You got to, especially if they're expecting for you to come into the office or your another place other than your home. You got to buy gas. There are expenses associated with working. And if you're not going to get paid, but you're still expected to pay those expenses, there's an issue. So I just wanted, this week to kind of give my 2 cents on that, and hopefully start getting people to think about this more from a perspective of who should be of no one being forced to work with and not get paid. Because in my opinion, if this practice can get allowed, the next thing you know, it's starting to start happening in other organizations. And um, basically, we'll go back to a time where slavery was permitted or indentured servitude. And I don't think most of us, there are some people who like it, and that's them, then you do it. But I think most Americans, they're not down for that. So that's the video for this week. Comment below, let me know what you think. And let's like start this dialogue of stop having people work without getting paid.